Well, good evening, everybody. I am Mia Mesa. I'm a congressional candidate with No Dem Left Behind, and I'm here tonight with Rob Anderson from Louisiana. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Rob.
Hi, and thanks, Mia. Yes, as Mia pointed out, we did meet, and we are both part of the No Dems Left Behind coalition, which is a group of grassroots candidates around the country just competing in rural districts. Mia's got a great race going. I've got a great race going. We have many other great candidates who I think you probably had on your show, or will. Am I right?
Yeah. We're going to have more on our show later on after the convention.
That's awesome. I'm in Southwest Louisiana. Our biggest cities that people outside of our district might have heard of are Lake Charles, Lafayette, and Morgan City. We're west of New Orleans and about 5 minutes east of Texas. We're right here in the heart of energy country. But there's a lot of people down here that are, here because of family, tradition, the food, the culture. I don't think we vote red or blue based on where we are, but just how the political climate goes. So this year, because I'm an ex-griller, I think we have the best shot of displacing our incumbent Republican congressman that we've had in a long time, because I'm basically a progressive who just, happened to have worked in the drilling field. So, and just wanted to speak for the people. And for once, the corporations aren't running this race down here. Well, at least not on my side.
That's good.
We have some good topics to talk about that me and I kind of went over before the show started, so let's get to it.
Perfect. Yeah, the closest I've ever gotten down to where you probably live is New Orleans and Harrisburg down there. And then, of course, I was, stationed down there in Biloxi, Mississippi after Katrina happened. So it was kind of a ghost town for a while, but it took a lot of people to make that place turn around and come back. And, I understand a lot of people have decided to come visit New Orleans, and that kind of sparked a big COVID outbreak, and now it's gone away. Has it come back? Is it a hotspot again?
New Orleans is not, but actually my part of the district and the rest of the state, Shreveport, Monroe, Lake Charles, Lafayette, all the other cities in Louisiana are really spiking. New Orleans was first hit, as you mentioned, because Mardi Gras is in February, and sure enough, 10 days, 2 weeks later, New Orleans exploded at the same time New York City was nationally early on, beginning of March, when we really realized that COVID had hit our shores and was not theoretical. It wasn't, 7 cases going down to 0, as our president had mentioned, but it was, doubling, tripling every day. And yeah, New Orleans was early on, but we have a great Democratic governor down here, John Bel Edwards. And he actually formed a task force before we even had our first case, when we started hearing reports out of China that COVID was coming. So that task force was formed actually a week before we got our first report from New Orleans. Mardi Gras, we're assuming Mardi Gras. I'm not blaming Mardi Gras, I love it just like anybody else. But then, we had a big spike early on, and that's when my campaign got underway with the help of some other nonprofits donating PPE to the first responders and to the VA and to the ambulance companies and all. We got PPE to the healthcare workers who were the hardest hit early on when we began having all these cases, and they had no PPE, no face shields, no masks. So that's what we did. Our initial response after quarantining ourselves for the first 15 days, we went out and donated PPE. And we're getting at it again. And there's not a PPE shortage, but there is a big COVID spike happening down here now in real time. Our ICUs are about full.
Wow.
And we're only 2 hours east of Houston. I don't know if you know. So Houston is a hot spot. That I-10 corridor comes right by us. New Orleans may be calming down, but we're between 2 big cities right where I am, right on this corridor.
So you probably have a rest stop in your area. Is that kind of like a transient zone where people are coming in and stopping, getting gas and going?
Absolutely, and many of them. When you come I-10 through Lake Charles, Sulphur, Jennings, Lafayette, all the way, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, it's all one straight line. And of course, those are where the explosions hit. Yeah. And, I try to get my gas local these days. And obviously I, observe all precautions. I wear a mask in public. Social distancing. It's become the rule down here. You'll still see people in supermarkets without masks, but their numbers dwindling. And people looking, wearing a mask has gone away. People know what it's about. They may stand on their rights, but they can stand 6 feet away from you while they observe their rights.
That's not good at all. Well, out here in Maryland, we're on the I-95 corridor, 5301. So a lot of people have came down here to go to Ocean City to visit our beaches, and that's become a hot spot. We hit 500 cases, and we have our representative who I'm running against, who was like, "We're going to reopen, we're going to reopen, we're going to make those schools reopen," and now, a majority of his counties, 12 of the 24, are starting to become hot spots right before school starts. And, the nurses and everybody else, they're starting to run short on PPE because they gave them to other people because they were like, it's not a hot spot. Down in by DC is, Northern Virginia was, right outside by the Beltway of 495 was. But now, hey, here it is. People are coming to the beach. People are coming to the waterfront. People want a recreation. And they don't know their friends, they don't know their neighbors, but you know what? They assume that it's safe to take off that mask, and I'm like, look, as soon as I walk out that door, I have that mask on, and I say, that's a lifesaver to me to wear it 24/7.
I don't know where I saw the source, so I'll consider it anecdotal for this purposes. But I saw a recent number in an article. Again, I don't know the source, but said that groups of 10, it was analyzing your chances of being exposed to. Whether or not you catch it is a separate thing, but in a group of 50 or larger, your chances of being exposed to COVID are now close to 100%.
Wow.
That's the difference. At 10 people, it's like 1%, and then it's very exponential from there.
I wonder what that is compared to like getting struck by lightning or getting crapped on by a bird. It's got to be like you're going to get COVID more than this.
Right. So COVID's real and it's everywhere, and there are a lot of carriers. Is what I take from it. Again, this isn't science because they're writing the science as we're living it. And that's the problem.
Well, we definitely want people to be safe, and we definitely want people to like join our coalition and be a part of it because we're out there donating our PPE. So join us. Donate NoDumLeftBehind.com, OJA, and then of course you can follow us at No Dumb Left Behind 2020. And we have like a big announcement coming up that is going to be for after the convention, but we have to hold on to that. We're going to entice you to watch our shows. But the Senate GOP has released their plan. Have you heard about it?
Yes, in brief, and the news was not good.
Yeah. So let's go over it because my campaign manager kind of gave it to me, and let's just dial it in. It's not a CARES Act. It's not a HEROES Act. It's a HEALS Act, and it's not like. It sounds more like it's from the bottom of your foot where they're going to stomp on you, heels, than it actually is like to heal and make you feel better. Because basically, instead of you're going to give you like $1,200 check for $7,500 if you make $7,500,000 for individuals, or $155,000 for families. So that's still in there. That's a good thing, right? You might get an extra $500 for each dependent in your family. Okay, that's a little bit less than what it was. And here's the big kick in the chest. This is where the heals come in. Instead of healing, instead of $600 per week, they cut it in 2/3. It's now $200 per week, right?
That's just not going to working families.
No. And, we're trying to propose things like UBI, so that we can make sure that families that, make under a certain amount per year can get, $500 per month, or, $1,000 per month. This right here is just a smack in the face, is saying that, the GOP doesn't care about the people. What do you think about this?
Either that or they're stuck in 1995 with $200 a month. Could, feed a family of 4, or $200 sorry, even that, $200 a week. I mean, we don't live, very, extravagantly, but I think $200 a week is what we spend on, for our family of 4. It's just with the prices of groceries these days, that's not much money. And I know people who, fed their families on a lot less. So obviously this is a short-sighted measure that's going to actively hurt people. This is actively going to have a negative effect. You will absolutely see food banks overwhelmed with people needing to make up that shortfall. People are they may stop going to the movies because of the pandemic. They may stop, going to bars if you make them, but they still need to eat. They need to eat no matter what. And that's what we're talking about. I think there's probably going to be a lot more food SNAP, whatever the program's called up there.
Yeah, it's called WIC.
WIC?
Yeah, WIC, WIC, and SNAP.
Women, infants, and children. Yeah, SNAP. We're going to see a lot more people applying for that because the jobs aren't necessarily coming back, no matter what we've heard from mass media, one way or the other. If it recovers 1 million, people think it's a big boost, but we lost 50 million. So we're still at a net loss here. People are going to be hungry. I think the Senate and Congress need to get busy looking out for the American people. As you pointed out, UBI is a great alternative. People who are going to qualify for UBI, whatever plan it is, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, they're not going to stuff it in their mattress. That's money that just goes right back into the local economy.
It feeds their family. That's what it honestly does. It will provide rent. It will provide, the power bill, and will allow them to, give them the necessities so that their kids can go to school.
Right.
And they're planning to go to school soon, I hope.
Well, it's certainly the time of year for it. Down here in Louisiana, that'll how we're going to reopen. Some districts want to do distance learning only. Some want to reopen the schools with, sparse classrooms, right? In Louisiana, where you have 40 kids to a class, you're going to social distance. Good luck. I don't know how they're going to. But we can't get together on it, and even the governor is having a tough time because down here we have the Board of Education, kind of a separate autonomous authority, and every individual district funds their schools from local taxes. So there's a reason we're, 49th, 50th in education every year is we do a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
But primary that we're going to have to do right now, and nobody disagrees on this, we have to look out for kids. Can't send them to get knowingly exposed with no backups,
Well, that's a relief. We got a Catholic school up here that's like you're sending your kid to school if you like it or not. Where the public schools, they're like, we're doing 100% virtual, for all the way up until October and November until we feel it's safe for, everybody to come in, including our staff and janitors. So, some people just don't believe. It's hard to see it when we see the numbers going up, and they were going down, and then they steadied, and now they're going back up. So, got to make a change.
And 4th of July, then everybody started going to beaches and barbecues again. It didn't go away. It's that the curve had been flattening, and then we kind of unflattened it all at once. And luckily, neither of us are from Florida, like poor Adam, where he has to suffer his governor who's trying to set records for new exposures. And my father lives in Florida, and I'm horrified.
Yeah.
Fortunately, my father, even if he's a Republican, is very intelligent. He's been distancing and staying at home and wearing masks, and he's basically hasn't seen anybody in 6 months except his stepdaughter. So, but I mean, we got 330 million people in this country. Every one of whom seems to have a different opinion of how to treat this.
I agree because, I'll tell you this. I went out to the farmers markets. They were doing the right thing. They were wearing the masks. They were doing everything else. But when I was going and seeing the car shows, nobody was wearing a mask. It was like, okay, yeah, you're outside, but you're like right next to each other. It gave me a clear warning to just, pull in, look, and leave. So that was 2 car shows that I clearly avoided that were probably hot spots on Route 50 where I live. But yeah, people are trying to stay active, but they're also doing it the wrong way too.
I agree. I mean, this is the first politicized pandemic, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, I see somebody without a mask, oh, you're voting for Trump this fall. I see. Okay. Gotcha.
Good.
I hate to do that, but here we are. We're all reacting to our lack of leadership, and we're trying to get our voters and our constituents and our neighbors to do the right thing. And it's for health. It's not.
I agree. Well, let's get them to follow us. They can go to No Dem Left Behind, and basically, let's get $1. What do you think? Is $1 fair?
I think $1. I mean,
there's 12 of us candidates.
$1 to our cause, probably 100 million that could afford it. That That would help.
Hey, $10 is probably better because it gives everybody $1, and then that helps us get more stamps out and everything else. So let's give them 2-3 minutes to get on to the No Dumb Left Behind and sign up and make a donation. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, and take it away, Rob.
All right. The next portion that we were going to talk about, because it was something I was on social media about today, is the cannabis issue in our nation, where in some states it's completely legal, recreational and medicinal. And obviously some states, like down here in Louisiana, where recreational is completely illegal, except it's decriminalized in the city of New Orleans, very specific subset where the sheriffs and everybody got together and said, no, we have real crime. Let's just stop arresting people for up to 2 pounds of marijuana. But for the rest of the state, it's pretty atavistic is the word I like to use, barbaric. I mean, we're back in the Stone Ages here. And it really ties into criminal justice reform down here. The school to prison pipeline is, and the statistics will show it. Find a young group of black kids hanging out, smoking a joint, they all go to jail for 2 and 3 years.
That's not good at all.
Right, 3-to-1 rate, African locked up over white prisoners here in Louisiana, and African Americans are only 33% of our state's population as a whole. So obviously you're looking at 9 times as many, basically, when you factor it as percentage of population. So the solution is simple to me, since cannabis has no or not many adverse health effects and has never caused a death. And I know people jump in with the exception that, well, no, there have been a couple. Those were allergic reactions, just like people who die of peanuts. We don't ban peanut butter.
Or cashews.
Itself. What's that?
And we don't ban cashews either.
Right, and cashews and other, foods or organic products that some people have allergic reactions to. So today, we did a big post on cannabis legalization. I think it should be descheduled as a Schedule 1 narcotic. Which seems obvious that it's rated the same as heroin is a monstrous injustice, and it helps bring social equality and reform to end that school to prison pipeline, to stop, and also tied in with this on my platform anyway, getting rid of private prisons. I hate the fact that prisons are a money-making venture and that they can donate to Republican politicians who want to keep private prisons. Seems too cozy for me. I don't think misery should be a for-profit enterprise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm definitely for, marijuana as well. We have a big CBD. We also have hemp farms up here too. The governor's kind of 50-50 on it, but Washington, D.C. is all about it, It's
Sure.
good business for them. It's tax revenue for them. Except for our Representative Harris, he likes to get into the DC's business and even say that they can even have a statehood, but he doesn't like the smell of it. Some people don't like the smell of it, but it's just like, anything else. It's like you drive by a pig farm or a horse farm or anything else. You deal with it. It's life. I'm pretty sure the spouse farts or the dog farts. Get over it. You
Right.
know,
Especially when it means tax revenue for your state.
Exactly, right? And you're exactly right. It has a good medical use for it. It's been there for ages. It's well rounded for everybody to use. Some people may not, just like what we talked about with the peanuts and the cashews, but we shouldn't have it completely illegal. We should be able to have it for free use, recreational use. We should be able to incentivize it, just like you were talking earlier about somebody donating $420. I think that's a great way to, incentivize, making a donation, especially to our cause. They can go down to No Dem Left Behind and make $4.20 a donation today and support our cause because we believe in that. And I think it would be great. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I forgot to even mention where this will mean something especially to you. The reason I first got into this was a veterans group a couple years ago when I first started running reach out to me. Specifically, they were pushing then before it had gotten to the legislature the first time. This is 2018. Veterans with PTSD.
Yes.
It was Louisiana Veterans for Medical Cannabis. Tony Landry, great guy, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you're running in Congress. Would you lend your voice to our cause?" And I said, "Well, of course, yes." And, I helped them fundraise and I started appearing in events for them. And sure enough, it got the legislation. Also down here is the great Kevin Caldwell, who's been pushing for medical cannabis. And, there's a lot of us who are starting to say, there are no deaths. This is not a dangerous drug. Veterans need it because it is proven to help with PTSD.
It is
you can make
true.
it out of don't like the smell. We can grow hemp. We have these amazing rice and lumber fields here in Louisiana. We can turn it into a textile industry. It's just a no-brainer to me, and so I'll absolutely run on it. People say, "Oh, you just want to break the law?" No, the
No.
law's wrong. As long as the law is unjust, the law is old. Time to move on. That's what progress means.
And we want to help our farmers, number one, and provide them a profitable crop to help a new industry. We might call it Green New Deal, but honestly,
Sure.
it's providing a lot more resources than we ever had because number one, we cleared those trees and farms to
Sure.
basically plant corn, soy, wheat, tobacco. Now we can just grow hemp and then have all types of other products that are good for medical use, pharmaceutical, and for fire resistance, construction, and plastics. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to be a part of that industry.
Yeah, it was like if you could go back in time, would you want to buy Apple on the day it was released in the stock market? Here we are on the verge of a whole brand new industry that could revolutionize our country. Help the environment, help criminal justice, help veterans with PTSD, help anybody with PTSD. And just feel like Cassandra screaming into the void, just like, let's do this, legalize it, let's move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, advocate down here.
That
And
is
that's how
absolutely true. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about that because, with Sanders, he's always like, like with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, we've been also talking about like defund the police and stuff. And now we have like the secret police coming into like all of our democratic cities and states. So is that something you're seeing in your area as well?
Not as of yet. We have had protests down here, many. I went to a couple myself of the biggest ones. But we had them even in our smallest little towns like Denham Springs, which is like 4,000 or 5,000 people. We had peaceful protests everywhere and never had a bit of violence. I think there was an issue once on a bridge in New Orleans where they'd closed the highway and people blocked off they shouldn't or something. But I mean, literally no problems. Certainly of violence or looting or destruction or any ancillary effect from the news. So no, we have certainly not seen any secret police. I watch it on the news. I see, I'm watching about Portland. See it on the Twitter feed. Everybody's recording with cameras. That's the difference now. Injustice has always been there, but now everybody's got a smartphone. When they say, "Oh, they're not beating," it's like, I just saw him, tear gas a veteran. I just saw the video. Don't tell me it's not happened. Or the that from a couple of weeks ago. Remember that Captain Portland, the guy who stood there, took a beating with a baton. I mean, we're watching it happen.
Yeah, that guy had the moral courage to stand up against his own, former brothers and sisters and say, "You're doing wrong," because one, you're taking money from a private contractor to be deputized as secret police to fight against our own in this country, and that's just wrong. So as a veteran myself, in my own opinion, they did the right thing. And the secret police under President Trump and them are agitating our communities, and it's the wrong answer.
Right. I was looking at these things the other day, and I was thinking of it. If I was president right now, the one thing I would do is address all these protesters, send all the police home, and the problem would just disappear.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the cities and states have kind of addressed it. They've taken down the Confederate statues and even went as far as like removing Christopher Columbus as well, and have gone out and celebrated with us with, Black Lives Matter.
Right, exactly. So the people are speaking, Mr. President. Listen, the people are speaking. This is how the people are speaking, which they are constitutionally allowed to do. It's our First Amendment right. And then I
now
do
for
think
us,
that the confrontation.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, yeah. And now for us, when we become the elected leaders, we have to take the actions that they want as bills and legislation for the reforms that they want and get it passed so that they see a result.
Absolutely. And you and I both have the benefit of being able to tell our constituents in our respective districts, wouldn't you like to be on the winning side? Wouldn't you like to be in the majority in the House and actually get something for your district, that bridge that every politician who's been here for the last 20 years has promised? I'll get it replaced for you, because Democrats will actually be getting bills done and hopefully flip the Senate. Fingers crossed on that. Everybody get out and vote this November. Remember, the Senate is just as important. We got to hold the House, we got to flip the Senate, and that probably brings us to what we haven't talked about yet, Joe Biden.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we definitely need to make sure Joe Biden wins because we got 99 days for the election, and he's going to be the most important thing ever to succeed. And we got his VP pick coming up at the convention. And
on that, you want to guess or not?
No, we're not going to speculate. It's too close to call. I did it in the last episode, but you can rewatch it from last week if you want to guess. But look, why don't you go ahead and just close this out and get people to donate to us?
Okay. Well, thank you, anybody who did watch or watched. Did you save these so they can rewatch them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's on YouTube all the time.
Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Obviously, as you saw, it was a great conversation between me and Mason up in Maryland. What's your district up there? What number?
District 1.
District 1. That should be easy to remember. District 1 in Maryland, and of course, I'm in Louisiana's 3rd congressional district, or 3rd, as they would say in Europe. Southwest Louisiana. We are here working for you. So all you can do, you can do many things. You can volunteer to phone bank. You can volunteer to write postcards. We all have volunteers set up on our webpage. But honest to goodness, if you're not taking corporate money like we're not, that's what drives it. We need money to buy TV ads, to buy signs, to buy T-shirts, to buy you name it, radio ads. Facebook boosting these days is great. You got to roll with the technology. I hate Facebook personally, but a lot of my district doesn't use Twitter, doesn't watch TV.
Yeah.
They watch YouTube and Facebook. So donations. If you want to do one in honor of this conversation tonight in the amount of $4.20, we'd love that. As Mia suggested earlier, $10 is a good number because that's $1 basically for each of all the candidates in the coalition. Any amount is appreciated. They'll always get a shout out from me if you donate and comment on the link. I usually try to get to everybody. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there, so I may not get you immediately, but I will. You have my personal thanks, and I'm sure Mia feels the same way.
Thank you. Well, everybody can reach me at Mia4MD. How can they reach you, Rob?
The biggest audience, obviously, is Rob Anderson 2018 at Rob Anderson 2018 on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook at Rob Anderson for Louisiana, Instagram, whatever, all the big ones. I'm there. The website, of course, is robandersonforcongress.com.
Okay, and the best way for everybody to enjoy us is through No Done Left Behind, our coalition of rural candidates across the entire nation. Thank you.
Which is at NDLB 2020 on Twitter.
That is correct. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you, and have a good night.
Good night, y'all.